Classic World of Warcraft has been a huge success for Blizzard Entertainment so far. Since Classic's release, we have gotten to re-experience Nixxiom. We have gotten to go through the Dark Portal and climb the very steps of the Black Temple, and soon we'll be going to Northrend to fight against the tyrant Lich King. But the question is, what is going to happen after Wrath of the Lich King? And people have been speculating on this for a while. Some people have said, oh, we're just going to see Classic Cataclysm come out. But other people have said, well, you know, Cataclysm isn't really considered Classic WoW. Classic WoW is sort of Classic TBC and Wrath of the Lich King. So there's also been speculation of a Classic version 2.0 coming out in the future. Now, what is Classic version 2.0? And what would that even look like? A new version of Classic WoW? That's what we're here to talk about today. But before we get into talking about Classic version 2, leave a comment down below. Pause the video and leave a comment sharing what you would like to see in Classic, or a new addition that Blizzard could put into the old game that would bring you back to it and make you want to play Classic WoW again, possibly for the third time in many of our cases. Leave a comment down below real fast and then resume the video. But of course, before we get into talking about Classic version 2, my ideas that have been put forward by the community, we have to thank, real fast, today's sponsor. Today's video was sponsored by absolutely nothing. Are you somebody who has everything, or perhaps is dealing with someone who just keeps telling you they want nothing for their birthday party? Then you need nothing. It's literally nothing. Link down below in the description. At last, give to your annoying friend or parent exactly what they've been asking for, and watch their reaction to you giving them exactly what they've been asking for. Nothing. So get yourself some nothing today, everybody. Link down below in the description, and make somebody feel nothing. I'm a big fan of Classic World of Warcraft, personally. I'm pretty sure that you guys know that. I do enjoy the modern game, despite its failings and flaws here and there, but Classic, you know, this old school version of World of Warcraft that I grew up with, that's where my heart is. And so I was very moved, and I absolutely loved it when Blizzard finally caved to the peer pressure, or fan pressure, I should say, and they finally at last gave us Classic World of Warcraft. We got to re-experience the good old days. It was fun. Yeah, there were some problems here and there, and yes, the community has changed quite a lot since back in the ye olde yonder days, but it was an awesome time. And I think that most of us have been satiated when it came to Classic WoW. We've gotten to relive those days of the past. We've gotten to kill a Nixxiom, go to Nixxiom, all that stuff. And now we're talking about this idea of Classic version 2.0, or Classic Plus, as some people have said. And what is that? Well, essentially, people have proposed this idea that after Wrath of the Lich King Classic comes out, what if Blizzard restarted the whole thing again? What if they actually re-released Classic World of Warcraft, like OG WoW, but as a new version of Classic World of Warcraft, with updates and content that we never saw back in the ye olde yonder days of original Classic WoW? Now, where does this idea come from, you might be wondering? Well, it comes from the fact that Blizzard created Season of Mastery, which almost seems like a discounted version of Classic Plus or Classic 2.0. It's Classic, but with a couple of changes thrown in. So this is why people have speculated this idea that after Wrath of the Lich King, there's a possibility that we might see a new restarted Classic WoW server session, Classic TBC and Wrath, but updated with new gameplay and new content. But what kind of new content, you might be sitting there wondering? You might be like, Nixxiom, what could Blizzard do? What could they bring to the table with Classic 2.0 that would bring players back? Bring back players like myself, Nixxiom, subscribe, like the video, thanks. All right, players like myself and even players like you. Well, for me, I'm going to propose a few things that I personally would like to see in this Classic version 2.0, or just things that I think that Blizzard would for sure do. Let's go down the list, shall we? First of all, it goes without saying that if we did get a Classic version 2.0, we're probably going to get the updated character models and the updated graphics. Blizzard over the past several years has been slowly upgrading the graphics of World of Warcraft, and not just the character models, but also models from the old world as well. We've gotten new centaur models, new kobolds, new gnolls, new whatever. I mean, we're getting new centaurs in Dragonflight. So Blizzard has just been periodically updating all of these old models and stuff, all the stuff that you know and love from Classic WoW. So seeing Classic version 2.0 come out with new character models and updated world models and updated boss models and stuff, probably a very real possibility. I think people would like that. Now, something that I personally would like to see in this new version of Classic is I'd love to see the addition of more class quests. I love class quests. They really add to the immersion and the feeling of playing whatever class you decided to create at the login screen. And so having more class quests, I think, would be pretty cool. Some classes get quite a few class quests, but a lot of them, you know, you get a class quest at level 10, you get one at level 20, and then it just kind of pitter-patters out, and then you just don't have one for forever. I think it would be cool if Blizzard put in a class quest in Classic WoW, an interesting, engaging, immersive, story-filled class quest every 10 levels, so that you always had something to look forward to. Another thing that people have talked about that would most likely be in this new version of Classic 2 would be more dungeons. And why not? There's a lot of possibilities for new dungeon content that could have been added to Classic WoW, or could be added into the game today. For example, we have the Stormwind Canal, or the Sewers dungeon. There's this unused portal in Stormwind City in Classic WoW, and it was never used for anything. So people have speculated a Stormwind Sewer dungeon, kind of like Oblivion. Remember the start of Oblivion, going through the sewer, killing the rats? Kind of like that. Really cool. We'd love that. That would be awesome. What about Grim Batal? You know, we got a little bit of Grim Batal love back in Cataclysm, but not that much. So making some more Dwarven-themed dungeons in this new version of Classic, that would be awesome. Here's one you probably forgot. The Stone Talon Oracle from Warcraft 3. Remember that quest line from Warcraft 3? Going through all those tunnels and stuff, like looking for the Oracle in Stone Talon Mountains? Well, guess what? Stone Talon Mountains and World of Warcraft ain't got none of this stuff. So having a cool like Stone Talon Oracle or like underground Stone Talon Caverns themed dungeon, that would be awesome. That's something I'd really like to see, honestly. Call back to Warcraft 3. That's right. What about the demonic area of Winterspring where all the demons are roaming around? Why don't we have a dungeon around them? Like, you know, just a dungeon cut into the slopes of Hyjal or something. That would be neat. Or even a pirate dungeon near Booty Bay. The point is, there could be a lot more dungeon content added to the game with new kinds of gear. And speaking of gear, here's a personal thing that I would want. As you guys know, I'm a really big fan of Elder Scrolls Online. And one of the things that Elder Scrolls Online is polluted with that I love is that whether you're a level 1 player or a max level player, there are so many sets of gear to collect all throughout the world. And I don't mean just sets of gear like transmog, like, you know, matching gear. I mean sets, like the Scarlet Monastery set, or your tier sets that you would get in raids or something. I'm talking about sets, dude, sets. I would love to see Blizzard add more set gear to the leveling process throughout Classic WoW. The most famous set gear is, again, the Scarlet Crusade gear, but by the time you get this Scarlet Crusade gear, you're already past Duskwood. You're past all the undead areas, and so getting these bonus points to fighting undead, it's kind of useless. Having more set gear that would empower your abilities or empower your character in some way, whether it's something small like a movement speed increase if you have 3 of the 6 pieces or something, or even something major like adding a random chance ability that happens whenever you swing your weapon, would be incredible. More sets to collect. It just, I don't know, I love sets in MMOs. I think they're awesome. Also, sets, I believe, kind of, they fit very well into the classic world, whether they're crafted sets or sets that you get in dungeons or sets that drop in the open world. Like, I love it. Now, of course, people want more raids in Classic WoW. What kind of raids do they want? Well, there's a lot of speculation, but 2 that I think would be really cool is 1, a Fellwood raid. I would love a raid set in Fellwood, fighting against the demons and whatnot. We got the, you know, the Molten Core raid with elementals and fire. We got, you know, Upper Blackrock Spire, orcs and dragons and stuff. Nixxiom's Lair, undead. with Nixxiom. What about a demon-themed raid set in Felwood? And maybe in this raid, we go through the caverns where Shondo Stormrage awoke the druids in the events of Warcraft 3, or where Illidan was imprisoned underneath Mount Hyjal. That would be an interesting location for a raid. Or maybe even a raid set in a kind of out-of-the-way zone, like, for example, the Ultric Mountains. During the events of Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2, the Orcish Horde were constantly fighting against the Alliance, Stormwind, all those guys, whatever. And although the Orcs mostly did band around Thrall during the events of Warcraft 3, there certainly were other groups of Orcs that the Warcraft 3 lore established that did not follow Thrall and did not follow this new Horde. So maybe sort of like a remnant kind of clan of orcs that did not join the Horde, kind of like the orcs that we fight in Blackrock Mountain, just more of them in another area. Just having a nice orc-themed raid, I think would be cool. The Horde is there to kind of clean up these, you know, these bad orcs, and the Alliance obviously don't want these orcs on their doorstep. So maybe that could take place in Ultric Mountains or something. Going back to something that I personally would like to in Classic version 2.0, if they decide to go down this route, is I would love to see an updated world. And it's just the little things that I think would just be really cool. For example, I would love to see more lore books in the world. You know those books that you can just click that are sitting on tables and they have stories and information about the world? I think it would be cool to read books about, you know, NPCs' lives, or just books that have nothing to do with major lore events, maybe just diaries or journals. I think that would be neat if the more of those were scattered around the world. I would love to see empty buildings in Classic WoW filled with stuff. The reality is there's a lot of buildings in Classic WoW that are just empty. You walk in, it's an empty building. I would like to see some tables in there, some chairs, you know, just whatever, like just more stuff in these empty buildings, so that way they're not empty. I would like it if NPCs had more dialogue options or interactions. I would even like to see new areas pop up in Classic WoW, or just unused areas be used for a purpose. There's a lot of hidden locations all throughout Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms. I've even made videos about it. And we could use those areas for something, whether it's entrances to new dungeons or just, I don't know, like new questing areas. There's a lot that you could do with it. So new areas would be cool. And then finally, of course, I'd like to see some updated flight paths. Right. Last but not least, I think everybody really wants balanced classes, though, in Classic version 2. People want to be able to play that Ret Paladin. People want to be able to play that Feral Druid. Although why you would play a Feral Druid instead of a badass Restoration Druid, I don't get it. But the point is, people want to play those classes and those specs that normally they couldn't play. So balancing the classes and the specs, I think everybody would like to see something like that. And of course, you know, updated boss mechanics and stuff, and dungeon mechanics and so on and so forth. That would, of course, be a given. Is it possible that Blizzard is going to give us a brand new version of World of Warcraft? Something like this? Personally, I think there is a slim chance, but it all depends on how well Dragonflight does. I think that if Dragonflight does very well and is successful for Blizzard, which obviously they want that to happen, I don't think we'll see something like this occur with Classic WoW. But if Dragonflight ended up being a really big failure and a really big money sink for Blizzard, it wouldn't surprise me if Blizzard shifted more of their attention to the Classic game, since the Classic game still does have a very strong and healthy and relatively stable population. I guess we will just have to wait and find out and see what happens. Is this something that you guys would like to see, though? Would you play something like this? Classic version 2 with new content and updated graphics and stuff like that. We'll keep out those quality of life features that we Classic players are not big fans of, but just giving us more content to enjoy in the Classic worlds would be awesome. Whether it's Azeroth, Outland, or even Northrend. That would be cool. Guys, thank you for watching this video, and if you have an idea for something that you would like to see in Classic version 2, if it were to happen, leave a comment down below with what you think would be an awesome addition to the game. And if you would like to support the channel directly, unlocking your very own chat badge, as well as emotes that you can use right here on the channel, please consider hitting that join button over on the channel's banner and becoming a member and a supporter of the channel today. Guys, thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and I will see you all with my next video.